Namaste and welcome to a new episode of Elevate with me, Pranisha. So, हजुरहरुलाई थाहा नै छ, each episode we invite different guests from different sectors. उहाँहरुको इनसाइड स्टोरीजहरु कुराकानी गर्छौं र उहाँहरुको चाहिँ सक्सेसको पछाडी टिप्स एन्ड ट्रिक्सहरु के थियो उहाँहरुले आफ्नो लाइफमा इन्कर्पोरेट गर्नुभएको त्यसको बारेमा हामी कुराकानी गर्छौं. So, आजको कन्भर्सेसनमा चाहिँ we are talking about confidence. So, तपाईको एउटा केही ड्रिम्स एन्ड डिजायर्स छ भने something that you want to aim for it. So, त्यसको लागि चाहिँ the most important trait that you need to have is confidence. Confidence र त्यसमा अलिकति आँट मिलाउनु भयो भने there isn't anything that you cannot achieve. So, आजको कन्भर्सेसनमा हामी यस्तै कुराकानी गर्छौं. आजको गेस्ट पनि she is an epitome of confidence. उहाँको कन्फिडेन्स र करेजले गर्दाखेरि उहाँलाई अहिले यो पोजिसनमा ल्याउन सफल हुनुभएको छ. So, हाम्रो आजको गेस्ट is Pranu Singh, Head of Corporate Affairs and Brand and Marketing of Standard Chartered Bank. उहाँको लर्निङ्सहरु थुप्रै छ अनि त्यसको बारेमा हामी गहन विश्लेषणहरु गर्छौं अनि उहाँबाट थुप्रै टिप्स एन्ड ट्रिक्सहरु पनि लिन्छौं. So let's dive into the conversation. Hi Pranuji, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pranisha. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I know हजुरको अहिले कति धेरै packed schedule मा पनि you took out some time अनि हामीलाई दिनुभयो and I'm so grateful for that.
It's my pleasure, all the way.
Okay, so let's start अलिकति easy breezy हैन. So what's keeping you busy? अहिले केमा busy हुनुहुन्छ? के गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ? How's your day in life of Pranus?
It's actually one of the busiest times.
Okay.
Well, life of a banker is usually busy नै हुन्छ.
Exactly.
But recently I've taken up another assignment, which is a little bit off hours ma cha हैन than the usual 9 to 5. If that's something called in your routine. But other than that, it's the usual, work, life, family.
That's amazing. So obviously the work-life balance jun cha हैन, it's a huge task to be maintained हैन. So हजुरको लाइफमा चाहिँ I'm sure it's very challenging. एउटा leadership position मा पुगिसकेपछि a lot of your time would be given to your work हैन. So त्यो work-life balance भनेको चाहिँ is it actually हुन्छ कि or is it just a myth?
Definitely it's not a myth. It's something that you have to deliberately work on. It doesn't come naturally. It's my personal view. Of the work life, कसरी बनाउने तपाईको भनौं न एउटा support ecosystem हरु कसरी बनाउने, because again, as you alluded to earlier, of course it's हुन्छ नि एउटा professional भइसकेपछि एउटा certain जुन roles and responsibility लाई जुन professional life मा हेरिन्छ त्यसमा कहिलेका extended hours हुन सक्छ, कहिले जे पनि हुन सक्छ. You're away from home, you have a family, you have a child, you have your relationships to look after. But again, हुन्छ नि त्यो एउटा understanding बनाउने, एउटा support system build गर्ने, because when you're not there with your family, for example, who's taking care of them? त्यो कुराहरुलाई एउटा हुन्छ नि एउटा ecosystem एउटा build गर्ने चाहिँ आफ्नो responsibility हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. And once you do that, then that's how you kind of build upon that balance of your work and your life. अनि again, it's एउटा myth चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने मान्छेहरुले when I come home I completely shut off, हुन्छ नि work एकदमै different, life एकदमै different भनेर. त्यो चाहिँ maybe it's not exactly possible, because you're not एउटा switch on or switch off button हुँदैन, of course, हजुर life मा work मा के disturbances भइरा हुन्छ भने invariably त्यो spill over हुन्छ personal life मा पनि and vice versa. तर त्यो कुराहरुलाई बिस्तारै कसरी इफेक्ट हुन नदिने, adversely इफेक्ट गर्न नदिने हैन, त्यो इफेक्ट चाहिँ हुन्छ तर कुन डेप्थ सम्म त्यो इफेक्ट गर्छ त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ probably कन्ट्रोल गर्न सकिन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. So there are few things under your control which you should practice and control, and then there are few exigencies which you can't control, which you're like,
yeah, obviously. अनि त्यो certain एउटा management गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ everything goes on autopilot mode हैन.
Yeah, but it's life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's autopilot may not be a very safe word, because every day it's a new day for you, be it in your personal life or your professional life. So yes, autopilot in नभए पनि yes, एउटा mode मा छिरेपछि चाहिँ नि when you have a comfort level with again हुन्छ नि जुन एउटा वरिपरि आफ्नो एउटा environment जुन बिल्ड गरेर हुन्छ, हामीले जुन relationship system बिल्ड गरेर हुन्छ, जुन प्रोफेसनल नेटवर्क बिल्ड गरेर हुन्छ, त्यो build गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ नि yes then probably it's an autopilot but again it's not exactly the meaning of autopilot
right? Life is uncertain, you never know what happens next, right? So I personally have been seeing you in a lot of programs, you have been representing Standard Chartered Bank, उहाँको face भएर उहाँलाई actively you have been promoting it, but आजको शोमा चाहिँ we are talking about you. We will be talking about you, तपाईले जुन पोजिसनमा अहिले हुनुहुन्छ त्यहाँसम्म आइपुग्दाखेरि के कस्तो च्यालेन्जेसहरू थियो, कस्तो खालको हर्डल्सहरू थियो पार गरेर आउनु भएको, बिकज obviously it's not a overnight thing, हैन? It's not overnight thing. त्यहाँ पछाडि कति हार्ड वर्क भयो होला, कति टिचिङ्सहरू, कति लेसन्सहरू भयो होला. So let's start from the very beginning. So हजुरको चाइल्डहुड कस्तो थियो? What were your instinct हुन्छ नि बच्चा बेलामा कस्तो खालको स्टुडेन्ट हुनुहुन्थ्यो academicsमा? So could you please put light on that?
Okay. So yeah, I'm the only child to my parents. Okay, so I don't have any siblings. Ani usually say belief kasto huncha bhane when you're the only child in a relatively privileged family, you're like this brat, everything at your disposal. Huncha ni alikati center of attraction and all of that. But I think I was able to defy that stereotype because I was nothing like that. Okay, I was. To think of, I was that girl or that child whom your parents would compare to in school and say, why didn't you become like her? So I was that her. Why? Because I was studious. I was, I was somebody with perfect mannerism. I was like the ideal child that somebody would wish for an ideal daughter. But having said that, I wasn't really born that way. Of course, bachharko ta आफ्नै हुन्छ नि त एउटा nature. Probably a lot of my personality has developed from the fact that I have a single mother, an extremely doting mother. And she made sure that ordeals or life disturbances, she made sure that she kept me away from it. But the fact that I knew what she was going through, I was like the silent spectator. So I wanted to make sure that I am her support system. So but say I have this in my mind. I have to like support my mom. I have to be around. त्यो कुरा चाहिँ मलाई एकदमै बच्चादेखि realization थियो क्या. So probably that is what helped me shape my foundation. And again, I said I was like this very एकदमै top हुन्छ नि like few position मा आउने बच्चा and all of that. But having said that, I was extremely into extracurricular activities also. I was very interested. I was heavily into sports. In fact, I thought I would eventually make a living in sports.
Okay,
I'll become a sports person. Yeah.
Which sports, if you could just elaborate
so I used to play everything. Primarily, I was heavily into volleyball.
Okay.
I used to play basketball. I used to play track. I used to be in track and field. Everything, basically everything. अनि यतिसम्म हुन्थ्यो कि मैले हुन्छ नि अब though I was very studious, so obviously I was हुन्छ नि टिचर्सहरुको एकदमै favorite and all that. But I used to bunk classes also.
Okay.
To go into sports.
Okay.
And that's why they didn't mind. Okay, she's doing something like which is kind of valuable and which is like fruitful. So it was kind of a... So I was studious, but I was not like... So it was kind of... I mean, it was absolutely a fun ride. Thinking of my school days, my... undergraduate, my MBA, everything like academics wise, I was like always up there, like passing with flying colors. Why? Because I used to put in those hours, but at the same time, I didn't miss out on the fun in life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, मेरो चाहिँ realization कस्तो थियो भने, if I don't do it right now, I will never get the chance to do it. If I don't play a certain sport, maybe हुन्छ नि अब अहिले आएर even if म गएर खेल्छु भने पनि probably time नहोला के नहोला हैन. So I used to like painting गर्न नआए पनि painting गर्ने, poetry मा नआए पनि poetry मा, competition मा त हरेक competition मा I used to take part. Sort of a jack of all trades. Why? Because त्यो मलाई चाहिँ हुन्छ नि okay, life will pass on भनेर त्यो कुरा चाहिँ हुन्छ, I may not be able to do this again, यो opportunity फेरि नआउला कि भन्ने त्यो कुरा चाहिँ सधैँ दिमागमा भइरहेको थियो कि. So I used to like very actively raise my hand for anything and everything that came my way. Probably त्यही भएर नै म अहिले जुन जहाँ छु हैन, I don't say I'm like completely successful or not, but relatively speaking, I think I'm doing relatively okay in my professional field. But I think the foundation जुन मैले स्कुलमा पाएँ हुन्छ नि मेरो academic years मा पाएँ, it is all right now. It's all an effect of
Yeah,
that.
sure.
So,
Yeah, like you said, so how important it is for a young child to balance both. So हजुरले भन्ने जस्तै नै अहिले सबै इफेक्टहरु अहिले देखिदैछ झल्किदैछ भनेर भनौं न. So अहिले एउटा सानो बच्चालाई भन्नु पर्दाखेरि how important it is to juggle both lives. Academics मा पनि equally effort दिने र extracurricular activities मा पनि equally effort दिने भन्ने चाहिँ कस्तो छ हजुरको राय त्यसमा? Because अहिलेको पेरेन्टहरुमा के छ भन्दाखेरि academics राम्रो हुनुपर्छ है, पढाइ चाहिँ राम्रो हुनुपर्छ, you need to get all that A stars, बरु extracurricular activities मा चाहिँ त्यसलाई चाहिँ एउटा distraction को रूपमा पनि लिन्छ नि त. So त्यो cult of parenthood लाई चाहिँ what do you want to suggest from your experience? Of course.
So being a parent, हाम्रो जुन generation of parents हरु अहिले जुन छ है, त्यो चाहिँ तपाईले भने जस्तो त्यतिको academics focus छ जस्तो मलाई चाहिँ एक्ज्याक्टली लाग्दैन. बिकज हुन्छ नि हामीले यति धेरै स्टडिजहरु लाइक यति धेरै त्यो एक्सपिरियन्सहरु सुन्या हुन्छ कि हुन्छ नि यु शुड नट प्रेसराइज योर किड्स हुन्छ नि त्यो स्ट्रेट एजहरु हो. मेरो व्हेन आई वाज इन स्कुल और व्हेन आई वाज डुइङ कलेज यस्तो प्रेसर थियो हुन्छ नि एकाडेमिक्समा एक्सेल गर्नै पर्ने, एउटा सर्टेन ग्रेड ल्याउनै पर्ने भन्ने खालीको त्यो एउटा मेन्टालिटी थियो सबै ठाउँमा थियो. आइ एम जस्ट नट ब्लेमिङ हुन्छ नट जस्ट माई पेरेन्ट्स बट इट वाज क्वाइट कमन द्याट पोइन्ट अफ टाइम. बट अहिले चाहिँ आई थिंक देयर हेज बीन अ शिफ्ट होइन. I may not be speaking for everybody, but at least हुन्छ नि मेरो आफ्नो सर्कलमा or people whom I talk to, whom I interact with, त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि academics लाई लिएर yes it's important एउटा certain grade अब you should not like fail or हुन्छ नि त्यो फेल नहोस्, तर त्यस्तो एकदमै एक्सट्रिम प्रेसर छ र बनाउनु पर्छ भन्ने एउटा जुन मेन्टालिटी थियो त्यो चाहिँ अलिकति चेन्ज, अलिकति होइन कन्सिडरेबल चेन्ज चाहिँ भएको छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई होइन. बिकज अहिले पनि इफ माई सन हुन्छ नि गेट्स लाइक अ बी or something होइन, त्यो उसको आफ्टर रियलाइजेसन वाज लाइक वाइ डोन्ट आई गेट एन ए भनेर सोध्छ होइन. बट आई एम एब्सोल्युटली फाइन इभन इफ ही गेट्स अ सी राइट, द्याट्स एब्सोल्युटली फाइन फर मी. वाइ बिकज ही इज डुइङ अदर थिङ्स, स्पोर्ट्समा एकदमै एक्सेल गरेर आएको छ, द्याट्स अगेन हिज इन्ट्रेस्ट हुन्छ नि. So, coming back to your question, I think extracurricular activities are extremely important. Not just because of the specific activity, but because, for example, sports ma. So, sports ma, अब मैले volleyball खेले, it's not about gaining the technicalities of volleyball. It's about the discipline that you learn from that. It's about the teamwork. हारे भने पनि कसरी रियाक्ट गर्ने, those kind of things हुन्छ नि, त्यो क्वालिटिजहरु सिक्ने हो नि त मान्छेले हैन. With anything or हुन्छ नि म्युजिक फर एक्जाम्पल हुन्छ नि, हरेक कुरा जुन सिकिन्छ जुन टेक्निकल हाम्रो क्वालिटिजहरु लिन्छ त्यसमा त्यो जुन अन्डरलाइङ स्किल्सहरु जुन हामीले अननोइङली गेन गरेर हुन्छ नि, त्यो कुराले हो एउटा बच्चालाई पछि गएर एउटा हुन्छ नि राउन्डर ह्युमन बिइङ एउटा फुलर एउटा पर्सनालिटी डेभलप गर्ने. So that is why I think academics, yes, it's important, but it's not the be all end all of it. Extracurricular activities definitely, as long as हुन्छ नि अब स्कुलहरुमा अफर गरिरहेछ भने यस हुन्छ नि, तर अब बच्चाको इन्ट्रेस्ट हेरेर उसलाई एक्स्ट्रा प्रेसर नदिकन उसको इन्ट्रेस्ट के छ त हैन, एउटा सर्टेन कुराहरु इन्ट्रोड्युस गरिदिने, कति कुराहरु उनीहरुलाई थाहा हुँदैन होला फर एक्जाम्पल, त्यो कुराहरु चाहिँ पेरेन्ट्सले एउटा डाइरेक्सन चाहिँ देखाइदिनु पर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ र त्यसमा इन्ट्रेस्ट डेभलप गर्ने नगर्ने उसको के छ जर्नी, द्याट्स आई थिंक त्यो अब बच्चाको आफ्नै जर्नी हो.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, हजुरले भनेको जस्तै के अरे स्पोर्ट्समा एउटा यस्तो कल्चर हुन्छ कि हैन, नो म्याटर व्हाट यु गो फरवर्ड हैन, पछि कुन करियर अप्सन चुज गरे पनि द अन्डरलाइङ इफेक्ट जुन भन्नुभयो लिडरशिप स्किल्स एन्ड टिम बिल्डिङ स्किल्स अनि एउटा डिसिप्लिन जुन क्रिएट गरिदिन्छ हैन, द्याट्स भेरी भ्यालुएबल हैन. सो हेल्थ बेनिफिट्स त्यो त ओभर द टप नै भइहाल्यो. सो academic वाइज हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि हैन, अहिले सिन्स करियरको वाइज पनि हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि एकाडेमिक्स चाहिँ कतिको इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ. एकाडेमिक्स लाइक अल स्टार मान्छे नै वुड बी द प्रिफरेबल चोइस कि ज्याक अफ अल भन्नुभयो नि हजुरले, त्यस्तो खालको चाहिँ वुड बी मोर सुइटेबल फर अहिलेको जब पोजिसन्सहरु चाहिँ?
अलिकति डिफरेन्स यहाँनिर के छ भने, इफ आई हेभ टु स्पिक फ्रम पर्सपेक्टिभ अफ नेपाल ओर हुन्छ नि हाम्रो यहाँ वरिपरिको जुन देशहरु छ हैन, त्यसमा चाहिँ still there is a lot of focus on academics and your degrees and your diplomas and all of that when you're getting into a professional field ma हैन. तर I was reading एउटा Harvard Business Review, I think it was published in 2021. त्यसमा चाहिँ के भनेको छ भने western world मा especially Europe मा चाहिँ नि they're doing away with that. Why? Because त्यहाँको demand नै यति धेरै छ कि they can't afford to like just demand for MBAs for example. त्यो डिमान्ड र सप्लाईको त्यो जुन एउटा इक्वेसन छ त्यो अलिकति हुन्छ नि इट्स अनब्यालेन्स बिकज देयर इज अ लट अफ डिमान्ड एन्ड द सप्लाई इज भेरी लेस सो पिपल आर गोइङ फर हुन्छ नि समबडी हु क्यान लर्न क्विकली अन द जब सो एप्टिट्युड हुन्छ नि लर्निङ क्यापासिटीहरू त्यो कुराहरूलाई हेर्न थालेको छ अरे होइन बाहिर चाहिँ एन्ड इभेन्चुली अब त्यहाँ भएपछि आउँछ नै यता हाम्रो साइड अफ द वर्ल्डमा पनि सो अगेन एकाडेमिक्स डिग्रिजहरू मेरो पर्सनल ओपिनियन चाहिँ कस्तो छ भने अगेन एउटा यो फाउन्डेसन हो होइन सो अब इफ आई हेभ टु थिङ्क अबाउट लेट्स से अ ब्याचलर्स डिग्री अर अ मास्टर्स डिग्री टेक्निकल स्किल्स ठिक छ होइन बट अगेन फाउन्डेसनल स्किल्स त्यसमा के देखाउँछ प्रब्लम सल्भिङ टेक्निक्सहरू अगेन वर्किङ टुगेदर लिडरसिप यु नेटवर्किङ हुन्छ नि त्यो कुराहरूको जुन सफ्ट स्किल्सहरू जुन हामीले डेभलप गर्छ नि ओभर त्यो मास्टर्स गर्ने बेलामा अथवा ब्याचलर्स गर्ने बेलामा त्यो कुराहरूले चाहिँ नि then it affects your like positively affects the professional work that you're in. For example, mero more early branding and marketing communications here, so that's not my degree at all. I'm a core finance person, but right now what I'm doing is absolutely not related to mero degree ke thyo haina. But ma bhane ni jun मैले के पाएँ त यो डिग्रीजहरु लिएर भन्दाखेरि अगेन जुन त्यो सफ्ट स्किल्सहरू जुन त्यो अन्डरलाइन स्किल्सहरू जुन मैले पाएँ जुन मैले हार्डवर्क गर्ने बानी बसालेँ जुन मैले एप्टिट्युड फर लर्निङ जुन मैले अक्वायर गरेँ त्यो कुरा मलाई मेरो डिग्रिजहरूले दियो अफकोर्स बेसिक नलेज टेक्निकल नलेजहरू थ्योरिटिकल चाहिन्छ नचाहिने भन्ने होइन तर अगेन द्याट्स नट लाइक द अल्टिमेट द्याट्स माई पर्सनल भ्यू होइन अभियसली अर्गनाइजेसन्सहरूले एउटा सर्टन फिल्टर राख्नुपर्छ एउटा सर्टन डिग्रीहरू क्वालिफिकेसन्सहरू कोड गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ एउटा ओपनिङ जब ओपनिङको लागि द्याट्स द रिक्वायरमेन्ट बट once you get into the professional field, मलाई त कसैले पनि सोधेको छैन मेरो अहिलेसम्म डिग्री के हो 15 वर्ष भइसक्यो it's only when I applied for a job हुन्छ नि my initial job त्यतिखेर मात्रै होला because I had a minimum qualification requirement but after that nobody's asked me what my GPA was or what my degrees are हुन्छ नि टाइमसँग आफूलाई upskill गर्नुपर्छ in the sense that so when I said that I don't have like a marketing and branding background मेरो MBA daysमा तर then I made it a point, for example, technical skills are acquire गर्नु पर्यो that's not something, for example, digital marketing. म 15 वर्ष 16 वर्ष अगाडि मैले MBA गर्दाखेरि त्यो कन्सेप्ट्सहरु थिएन हैन एक्जिस्टै गर्दैन थियो अनि यो डिजिटल मार्केट यति छिटो इभल्भ भइरहेको छ भने ल मैले लास्ट इयर या 2 वर्ष अगाडि सर्टिफिकेसन लिएर फर एक्जाम्पल आई क्यान हुन्छ नि सिट ब्याक एन्ड से कि ओके फाइन आम सर्टिफाइड डिजिटल मार्केटर भनेर म बस्न सक्दिनँ वाइ बिकज आई हेभ टु कन्टिन्युसली अपस्किल माइसेल्फ हो त्यो टेक्निकल कुराहरू चाहिँ जुन जबमा इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ हुन्छ नि ओर करेन्ट जबमा अर पर्सपेक्टिभ जबमा त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ कन्टिन्युसली आफूलाई अपस्किल चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ द्याट्स भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट तर त्यो जुन एउटा बेसिक हुन्छ नि एउटा एकदमै फाउन्डेसन्सहरू त्यो स्किल्सहरू डिग्रिजहरू चाहिने यस टु गेट इन्टु द जब बट हेल्प गर्ने चाहिँ आफ्नो मान्छेको एप्टिट्युड एउटा लर्निङको एउटा क्यापासिटी हुन्छ नि एटिट्युड त्यसमाथि चाहिँ पर्छ
लर्निङ एटिट्युड सो विल गेट इन्टु हजुरको अपस्किलिङ कुराहरू पनि गर्नुभयो विल गेट इन्टु द्याट लेटर बट लेट्स डिस्कस अबाउट हजुरको कलेज लाइफ होइन सो हाउ वाज इट कस्तो थियो मेनी पिपल धेरैजनाको कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि स्कुल लाइफको मान्छे र कलेज लाइफको मान्छे डिफ्रेन्ट हुन्छ मेरो पर्सनली त्यस्तो थियो होइन स्कुलको बेलामा चाहिँ आई वाज मोर इन्टु एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिभिटिज होइन एकाडेमिक्समा ठिकै भए पनि ब्याचलर्समा जाँदै गएपछि चाहिँ आई पुल्ड अप होइन मान्छे नै डिफ्रेन्ट भए जस्तो थिएँ स्कुलमा आई वाज भेरी साई पर्सन and त्यसपछि मैले आफूलाई ओपन अप गर्दै गएँ and then I was a totally different person. So हजुरको केसमा चाहिँ कस्तो थियो how was your college life bachelor's masters कताबाट गर्नुभयो and then how was the experience?
Okay त्यस्तो एकदमै contradicting त म थिइनँ as a person होइन because I kind of carried on the same way I was in school college if I had to like really think hard मैले चाहिँ bachelor's St. Xavier's कलेजबाट गरेँ and then MBA चाहिँ कुसुम काठमाडौँ युनिभर्सिटी स्कुल अफ म्यानेजमेन्टबाट गरेँ so as a person I don't think I was totally different again I was like very keen very eager मैले भने नि स्कुलदेखि नै I was very I wanted to like grab all opportunities that were there. Maybe not excel that much, but yes, try गर्न मन लाग्ने हुन्छ नि जे कुरा पनि it's just purely try हुन्छ नि अब एउटा कुनै ड्रामा के भइरहेको छ भने maybe I should try not because I'm a very good actor or like I wanted to excel or get the best actress award, but I just wanted to be there and made my presence felt. So त्यो कुरा चाहिँ मेरो एकदमै थियो it's always been a consistent theme throughout probably. So त्यही कारणले चाहिँ नि अहिले पनि maybe हुन्छ because I put my hand up so much for everything that comes my way, त्यसले चाहिँ it has worked quite positively for me. So त्यस्तो एकदमै stark contrast को चाहिँ थिएन होला. Obviously अब growing up personalities are अलिकति evolve हुँदै जान्छ. That's inevitable. तर as a person, I think I was quite, I mean, thanks to my mom and, you know, the family members, everybody who raised me with those foundational skills, I think I was pretty much like consistently kind of doing my things. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself extrovert?
Yes. But depends on what I'm talking about. So I do have like a very, very close circle of friends. And they would know the inside out of me,
the core of
me, because I think it's very important to have that circle.
Exactly.
And then because of my role also, I have to maintain a social circle also. And that's why you see me in all these programs and all that, because it's part of my job.
Yeah.
And also the good thing is because I enjoy doing it. So yeah, I think I'm an extrovert. But then के कुराहरु मैले एक्सप्रेस गरिरहेछु के गरिरहेछु भने I do kind of measure it, if I may say. So हुन्छ नि त्यो मेरो कोर सर्कल र त्यो बाहिरको सर्कलमा हुने कुराहरु चाहिँ एकदमै डिफरेन्ट छ.
So from this conversation, what I came to know एउटा gist मा भन्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ you tried everything out in your young age भनौं न हैन. So you did all, you tried all, अनि आफू चाहिँ कता फिट हुन्छु भनेर चाहिँ you discovered that very early in your life हैन. So talking about अब career को सुरुवात भनौं न, like after your education हैन, career को सुरुवात गर्दाखेरि since you had finance मा degree हैन, अनि I believe your first job was in Standard Chartered Bank itself हैन. So पहिलेदेखि नै म banker बन्छु भन्ने थियो कि, or is it something that destiny brought to you? कस्तो थियो त्यो चाहिँ?
Okay, so even before answering your question, मेरो चाहिँ एउटा कस्तो छ भने I've never been somebody who's got this big audacious goals or हुन्छ नि, okay म 10 वर्षमा म एकदम एउटा मल्टिनेशनल कम्पनीको म एकदम हुन्छ नि एउटा बोर्डरमा बसेर आउँछु भने त्यो खालीको भिजन मेरो कहिले पनि थिएन. That's my personal thing. I'm not saying everybody should do that, but मेरो चाहिँ नि it was never like हुन्छ नि म यस्तो गर्छु उस्तो गर्छु भन्ने थिएन. But what I did perhaps correctly was जति पनि मेरो short term goals हरु थियो नि, that I strive to excel. And that kind of हुन्छ नि build up हुँदै so eventually त्यो जुन हुन्छ नि एउटा goal अथवा not exactly goal but त्यो एउटा जुन मैले objectives हरु achieve गरे, it worked in that favor because I was so invested in achieving my short term goals हरु हुन्छ नि सानो कुराहरु tasks हरु त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ नि राम्ररी मैले गर्नुपर्छ भने that was always my mentality. So coming back to your question, she was asking me about हुन्छ नि सुरुदेखि नै मलाई म ब्याङ्कर नै बन्छु भन्ने no, it wasn't त्यो थियो. तर having said that, when I was doing my MBA, options were very limited. अहिले कस्तो थिएन हुन्छ नि, अहिले त यो like entrepreneurs हुन्छ नि, digital and then fintech and all त्यो सबै छ नि त.
YouTube itself
हुन्छ नि, even if you're not doing anything, you just like you have your own home videos and you're like हुन्छ नि overnight celebrity and all of that.
Exactly.
Not undermining any of that because of course सबैमा efforts र त लाग्छ नै हैन. तर हामीले MBA गर्ने बेलामा options हरु अलिकति limited थियो. There were a few FMCG companies, there were banks हरु त र Standard Chartered, of course it has been the only international bank. मैले त in fact Standard Chartered मा apply पनि गरेको थिइनँ के because I thought हुन्छ नि हुँदैन होला भनेर के. So I kind of maybe underestimated myself.
But then
त्यो पहिला त्यो हाम्रो उसको के रे as a part of our curriculum त्यो internship हरु गर्नु पर्थ्यो. त्यसमा मैले Standard Chartered मा apply पनि गरिन because I was like why would they take me भने जस्तो भयो त्यो बेलामा हैन. So I worked in another A class bank मा गरेँ त्यो बेलामा. But then it so happened कि again exam MBA को finals भन्दा पहिला नै I got placed. And I got a placement in Standard Chartered. From college in Standard Chartered. So exam सकिनु 2 महिना अगाडि नै I was already in as an internship मा थिएँ like because I didn't have my degree. And then once my MBA finished and then this placement भइसकेपछि then I started getting more offers from other companies also. But because it was Standard Chartered, it was like the ultimate, right? So then I didn't like really switch or I did appear for a couple of interviews after that just to kind of gauge ke cha bhanera. But then I was sort of destiny.
Destiny
So it wasn't like planned, I have to get into banking or I have to get into Standard Chartered. And then, so it's Surumata, it's the interesting thing is, I was like, okay, 3 years, I'm done, I'm out of here when I asked the Boko. And it's been like, what, 15 years now. So, yeah.
So, ब्याङ्किङ सेक्टरमा छिर्न मन थिएन भनेपछि त्यो मास्टर्स गर्दै गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई यो सेक्टरमा चाहिँ आई रियली वान्ट टु गेट इन्टु दिस इन्डस्ट्री भनेर इन्ट्रेस्ट वाइज चाहिँ केही थियो द्याट वाज अल्सो फ्लोर
ब्याङ्किङमा इन्ट्रेस्ट छैन भन्ने चाहिँ थिएन तर ब्याङ्किङ मै जान्छु भन्ने पनि थिएन एज आई सेड आई नेभर ह्याड लाइक दिस हुन्छ नि एकदमै लङ टर्म गोल कि म यहाँ जान्छु भन्ने थिएन बट आई न्यू वाट एभर आई वुड गेट इन्टु आई वुड हुन्छ नि like जान्छु तर राम्रै कम्पनीमा जान्छु भन्ने चाहिँ थियो so yeah I mean it was kind of I was open to opportunities and when it came from Standard Chartered I was like very happy I haven't regretted a day of it.
Yeah, I can see that. 15 years in a company, that's a huge commitment one can make, right? So you are in Standard Chartered, you are in. So how was your initial days in your career? Because jati je bhane pani internship ta गरिन्छ हैन but then त्यो hardcore त्यो भित्रको जुन त्यो soft skills हरु भन्छ नि जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीलाई corporate ladder चढ्नलाई हेल्प गर्छ. So त्यो फेज चाहिँ कस्तो थियो after your academics MBA complete गरिसकेपछि कस्तो थियो त्यो experience चाहिँ?
You're making me go really back into memory lane.
That's the thing that I want to take it out.
Okay, my first few days so again I'm this like starry-eyed young bright girl and suddenly so I started off as officer governance in the CEO's office.
Okay.
So I was doing strategy. I was assisting him for strategy planning, liaison with different like stakeholders about the international bank boy stakeholders and liaison.
Internship fees man.
Internship ma I was doing a number of other things, but then you need to primarily need to. So CEO line assist garna थियो हैन. So again this was stressful, challenging. I don't remember, maybe because I was so like I'm very kind of open-minded to things that will come. The only probably the key to whatever I do is I'm not scared of hard work. So त्यो कुरा भइसके पछाडी when I have that belief कि I can work hard. No matter what comes, I think I'm up for it. Just to लाग्छ कि मलाई चाहिँ अहिले पनि it's the same feeling. That's why you see me taking up I don't know what assignments
I can
which are like
you are there, you are going abroad पनि हैन so I can see that.
So एउटा त्यो आफ्टर माई सेल्फ बिलिफ चाहिँ त्यो मलाई छ कि मैले यसमा गरे भने म सक्छु भन्ने त्यो चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ हैन. So starting phase of career पनि हुन्छ नि अब मसँग टेक्निकल स्किल्सहरु नहुन सक्छ बिकज हुन्छ नि एउटा MBA फ्रेश MBA एउटा कमर्शियल एउटा इन्टरनेशनल कर्पोरेटमा छिरेपछि there are many things that you have to learn. तर त्यो लर्निङ गर्ने एप्टिट्युड हुन्छ नि अनि कति क्विकली कुराहरू ग्रास्प गर्न सकिन्छ कतिको हार्ड वर्क पुट इन गर्न सकिन्छ त्यो कुराहरू मसँग थियो विच आई वाज भेरी कन्फिडेन्ट अबाउट. सो प्रब्लली त्यो कुराहरूले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यति धेरै च्यालेन्जिङ र प्लस आई ह्याड भेरी गुड मेन्टर्स हुन्छ नि द्याट वाज अ भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ हुन्छ. आई ह्याड पिपल हु हुन्छ नि गाइडेड मी त्यो इनिसियल फेज अफ करियरमा र त्यो मेन्टर्सहरू बनाउने उनीहरूसँग त्यो एउटा मेन्टी बन्नु लायकको एउटा त्यो जुन केमिस्ट्री हुन्छ नि त्यो डेभलप गर्ने त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ मैले सिकेँ सुरुमै हैन र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई अलिकति सजिलो चाहिँ भयो त्यो मेन्युभर गर्नलाई त्यो हुन्छ नि प्रोफेसनल्समा नेभिगेट गर्नलाई. अगेन द्याट्स स्टेड विथ मी थ्रु आउट. सो इट वाज हुन्छ नि स्टार्टिङदेखि अहिलेसम्म त्यही नै छ हुन्छ नि आफ्नो नेटवर्क बनाउने हुन्छ नि र त्यो मेन्टर बनाउने अथवा सपोर्ट सिस्टम बनाउने. It doesn't come like that, right? You also have to prove your worth. You're worthy to be somebody's mentee. 100%. You're worthy to be somebody's support linalai to be worthy so भनेर prove so गर्नु पर्यो नि त. So that again probably comes from the hard work and all of that that I've said. So again ups and downs so definitely सबै ठाउँमा हुन्छ हैन. You feel like resigning the same day and like going off and like you can't work and all of that. त्यो फेजहरु सबैको लाइफमा आउँछ आउनु पनि पर्छ बिकज द्याट गिभ्स यु एक्सट्रिमली त्यो लर्निङ एक्सपिरियन्सहरु आउने त्यहाँबाट हो क्या.
एन्ड स्ट्रङ्गर पनि बनाउँछ.
स्ट्रङ्गर पनि when you like really deep down into your the lowest moments na and then when you bounce back that's another energy altogether right. So त्यो कुराहरु इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ क्या. सो हो च्यालेन्जेसहरू छैन भन्दैमा मेरो त्यो लो डेजहरू अथवा त्यस्तो एक्सट्रिमली डिफिकल्ट कन्डिसन्सहरू नआएको भन्ने होइन त्यो पनि थियो हुन्छ नि एट टाइम आई वान्टेड टु जस्ट लाइक बस्ट आउट क्राइङ एन्ड देन हुन्छ नि लाइक आई कान्ट डु दिस एनिमोर भन्ने त्यो फेज पनि थियो तर अगेन इट्स अल ट्रान्जिएन्टल के अलिकति आफूमाथि अलिकति कन्फिडेन्स अनि आफ्नो सपोर्ट सिस्टमहरू आफ्नो फ्यामिली यताउति सबै सपोर्टहरू लिएर त्यो हुन्छ नि ओके this is temporary, I have to move on भनेर त्यो and then kind of it lifts you up. It's important also जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई so yeah it's a combination of everything.
Okay, so हजुरले भन्नुभयो एउटा टिम इफेक्ट जुन भन्नुभयो मेन्टरहरू भएपछि एउटा ट्रान्जिसन फेजमा इजी हुन्छ भनेर भन्नुभयो होइन सो लेट्स स्विच द रोल होइन अनि इफ यु आर अ मेन्टर अनि एकजना नयाँ मान्छे नयाँ इनपुट भएको छ ब्याङ्कमा हजुरको टिममा सो कस्तो खालको सपोर्ट चाहिँ दिनुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ बिकज इट्स अल्सो वान अफ द इम्पोर्टेन्ट ट्रेड होइन सो हाम्रो लाइफमा वी आर नट अलवेज मेन्टी सो सम डे वी विल बी प्लेइङ अ रोल अफ अ मेन्टर एज वेल सो त्यो रोलमा चाहिँ एउटा नयाँ इम्प्लोइलाई कसरी इट्स ओके मिस्टेकहरू गर्दाखेरि इट्स ओके अनि त्यसपछि कसरी त्यो नयाँ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा एडजस्ट गर्नलाई चाहिँ हाउ वाट्स यर टेक अन द्याट
I think it's extremely important. अर्गनाइजेसन्सहरूमा एउटा फर्मल मेन्टरसिप प्रोग्राम चाहिँ खास हुनुपर्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ होइन वाइ बिकज हुन्छ नि अगेन एज यु करेक्टली मेन्सन एउटा नयाँ मान्छे एउटा एकदमै नयाँ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा आइरहेको उसलाई त्यो इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा बिजाउनको लागि हुन्छ नि कति धेरै एप्रिहेन्सन्सहरू हुन्छ नि त्यो एउटा मान्छेको होइन सो त्यो एप्रिहेन्सन्स ease out गर्नको लागि it's very important to have a mentor हुन्छ नि so ठिकै छ अफिसियल नभए पनि unofficially so I do mentor a lot of these youngsters who come into it त्यो अब मेरो अफिसियली मलाई कसैले भनेर okay you have to mentor this person भन्ने होइन people who approach me हुन्छ नि मेरो धेरैजना छ होइन inside the bank outside पनि छ हुन्छ नि so I'm also a coach I'm a professional coach so that way चाहिँ I do mentor a number of people सो त्यसले चाहिँ नि मलाई एउटा के आफूलाई पनि एउटा सेल्फ सेटिस्फ्याक्सन र आफ्नो पनि एउटा लर्निङ चाहिँ दिन्छ कि इभन इफ यु आर अ मेन्टर यु लर्न सो मच फ्रम दोज कन्भर्सेसन्स हुन्छ नि सो इट्स अ टु वे प्रोसेस मेन्टरसिप एब्सोल्युटली एन इम्पोर्टेन्ट एकदमै भाइटल हुन्छ होइन सो इफ यु डोन्ट ह्याभ अ मेन्टर अर इफ युआर हुन्छ नि आई मिन I would really suggest that you find somebody who can give you that kind of mentorship time, effort, energy. At the same time, when you are in a certain level, then it becomes your responsibility to sort of elevate. Elevate the people who are looking for some kind of support. Those are a moral responsibility. So I'm kind of I'm very open to the concept अनि अनि अहिलेको नयाँ जेनेरेसन्सहरू this Gen Z and I don't know so all of that so उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ एउटा again हुन्छ नि एउटा फाउन्डेसन दिनलाई एउटा ह्यान्ड होल्ड गर्नको लागि चाहिँ I think mentorship is very important.
Very important, right? So you mentioned about the coaching classes and a life coach. So you have been through a lot of youth recently and a lot of graduates. So अहिलेको youthको problemsहरू चाहिँ के छ since your experience आजको experienceबाट चाहिँ कस्तो खालको problemsहरू कस्तो खालको restrictionsहरू चाहिँ उहाँलाई पछाडि तानिरहेको त्यस्तो केही छ
I won't say problems per se because I think it's a generational thing होइन अहिलेको भनौँ न युथहरू जो अब फर इक्जाम्पल अर्गनाइजेसनमा जुन आउनुहुन्छ होइन मैले एउटा डिफरेन्स देखेको छ के छ भने बिकज दे हेभ सो मेनी अप्सन्स एन्ड दे हेभ सो मेनी अल्टरनेटिभ्स दे मे नट बी अब जुन हाम्रो 15 वर्ष अगाडिदेखिको जुन एउटा कन्सेप्ट छ नि कि एउटा काम मलाई दिइसकेपछि इट्स लाइक मेरो यस्तो हुन्छ नि इट्स माई बेबी हुन्छ नि आई हेभ टु डेभलप नर्चर इट भन्ने एउटा जुन एउटा जुन थट प्रोसेस हुन्छ पर्ह्याप्स त्यो चाहिँ अहिलेको जेनेरेसनमा छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्दैन माई पर्सनल भ्यू अगेन वाइ बिकज आई वुन्ट से इट्स अ ब्याड थिङ अगेन हुन्छ नि बिकज अब उहाँहरूको चाहिँ नि ल ठिक छ दिस इज माई जब दिस इज लाइक आई हेभ टु गो फ्रम A to B द्याट्स इट डन अब त्यो बीसम्म जुन अल्टिमेट गोल जुन सीसम्म पुऱ्याउनु छ द्याट समबडी एल्स विल डु इट इट्स नट माई जब भन्ने खालको त्यो एउटा टेन्डेन्सी त छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ क्या अगेन आम नट सेइङ इट्स अ नेगेटिभ थिङ बिकज तिमीले आफ्नो जब त गर्यो नि होइन तर त्यो एउटा होलिस्टिक एउटा जुन भिजन एउटा हुन्छ नि त्यो मैले किन गरिरहेको छु त होइन यसको अल्टिमेट पर्पज त के हो त एम आई डुइङ सम कन्ट्रिब्युसन इज देयर समथिङ एल्स द्याट आई सुड डु भन्ने त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ अलिकति इभल्भ हुँदै आएको छ क्या अहिलेको जेनेरेसनमा चाहिँ नि अनि अब अहिलेको again lot of choices, lot of alternatives. I wouldn't expect somebody to stick around in an organization for 15 years as I did. So plus organizations also have to match up to that expectations, the mindset of this generation. For example, that's why is the concept of gig economy, for example. Gig economy le ke bhancha bhane, again, you work for 3 months and then you move on to some other organization. You put in your effort, you get paid, go on. Why? Because it kind of matches the mindset of the younger generation. They don't want to stick around in an organization for years and years, right? You're a काम गर्ने, project based गर्ने, सकाउने, move on. गर्ने, सकाउने, move on. So organizations हरुले पनि आफुलाई अलिकति त्यो वेमा चाहिँ नि ढाल्नु पर्ने हुन्छ. I think eventually that's how everybody will move हुन्छ नि, like few years down the lane. एकदमै अलिकति far उसको कुरा गरे मैले. But again, अहिलेको generation extremely smart. They're like so well equipped with everything. They have everything at their fingertips and all that. So why do I sound so old?
It's your experience talking.
तर त्यही हो, अलिकति उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ नि त्यो फेलियर or हुन्छ नि त्यो कुराहरू चाहिँ नि स्पेसली अब ल जेनेरेसन अल्फाको कुरा गरौँ, मेरो बच्चाको जेनेरेसन होइन, उनीहरू यस्तो एउटा इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा हुर्किया हुन्छ होइन. अब हाम्रो भनौँ न अब पेरेन्ट्सहरूमा त अब स्कुलमा पिटाइ पनि खान्थ्यो, ऊ पनि गर्थ्यो होइन. So it was all like legal and like allowed. It was normal. As a teacher le हातमा like पिट्यो or लट्ठीले पिट्यो, it was very normal,
not
right?
a big deal.
तर त्यो कुराले चाहिँ I'm not advocating punishments, तर त्यो जुन एउटा environment हुन्थ्यो त्यसले मान्छेलाई अलिकति resilient चाहिँ बनाउँथ्यो जस्तो लाग्छ है मलाई. अब अहिले मेरो बच्चालाई अलिकति मैले ठुलो स्वरमा बोल्यो भने he's be like हुन्छ नि, उसको tolerance level एकदमै low छ क्या. हुन्छ नि, not just my kid, I think it's the same with all his kids. Why? Because अलिकति त्यो हुन्छ नि environment त्यस्तो society अब हाम्रो अलिकति normsहरू change हुँदैछ हैन. So I'm not an expert to kind of comment on what worked, what not, punishment दिनु पर्छ पर्दैन, but definitely corporal punishment, physical punishment, it's a complete no-no. But I'm just relatively speaking, कस्तो थियो हाम्रो generation compare गर्दाखेरि, I think our generation, हाम्रो भन्दा अगाडिको generation was more resilient. The failures होला राम्ररी अलिकति healthily लिन सक्ने. Perhaps अहिलेको generation is a little bit maybe not that like equipped to kind of हुन्छ नि एकदमै
deal with failures,
to deal with the lows in life. That's probably something we need to work on. हुन्छ नि कि it's not always going to be a bed of roses and like a cakewalk. अब अलिकति केही भयो कि ल छोडिदिहाल्ने, रिजाइन गरिदिहाल्ने त्यस्तो खालको हुन्छ नि त. But the fact remains that you will त्यस्तो च्यालेन्जिङ सिचुएसन्सहरू जहाँ पनि आउँछ. एउटा अर्गनाइजेसनमा ल तिमी छोड्यौ, you move to another. Family आउन सक्छ, रिलेसनशिप्समा आउन सक्छ. You don't like break
that.
Exactly, you can't escape that, right? You can't like break off relationship and just move on, right? So you need to kind of build that capacity, build that tolerance, build that resilience to kind of move on and like to face them head on and then kind of overcome them and then move on. So yeah, I sound very, very old and prophetic, but yeah, that's what it is.
But that's very quite good piece of advice, होइन. But के भन्छ त्यो situation handle चाहिँ कसरी गर्ने, like हुन्छ नि people go through it. म पनि त्यही जेनेरेसनमा बिलोङ गर्छु जहाँ चाहिँ एउटा सानो मिस्टेक भयो भने पनि हो के न भयो होइन, ल आई एम डन, मेरो करियर सक्यो त्यस्तो भन्ने थट्सहरू आउँछ. सो त्यो बेलामा चाहिँ आफूलाई कसरी के सेल्फ टकहरू, सेल्फ अफर्मेसन्सहरू त्यस्तो केही भन्नुपर्छ कि कमिङ फ्रम योर एक्सपर्टिज हजुर पनि त्यो सिचुएसनमा पुग्दाखेरि चाहिँ वाट डिड यु डु अनि कसरी त्यो सिचुएसनलाई चाहिँ टर्न ओभर गरेर फेरि मोटिभेटेड रूपमा फेरि डे स्टार्ट गर्न चाहिँ वाट डिड यु डु?
So मेरो म्याजिक मन्त्र भन्नुपर्दा it's nothing like big, तर I really follow this quote, which is this too shall pass. That is something that it's there on like हुन्छ नि त्यो एकदमै मेरो माइन्डमा चाहिँ it's like just up there, this too shall pass भनेर एउटा त्यो ठुलो साइन बोर्ड नै छ क्या. So whenever I feel myself into एकदमै challenging situations or then भने जस्तै like I'm done, I'm going, I'm out of here भने जस्तो हुन्छ. So when you look at that quote, in your mind, and then you think 2 days after when I look back to this situation, or a week after when I look into this situation, this was and then or a few months after or a year after when I look back into this situation, and then all of a sudden everything seems so trivial, so small. in larger scheme of things, in larger scheme of life, because your life is not just that small trouble, you're like so many things our life so त्यसको comparatively त्यो एउटा सानो सिचुएसन हेर्दाखेरि and then त्यो magnitude of the trouble छ नि त्यो stress जुन छ त्यो घट्दै जान्छ. It has worked for me wonders हुन्छ नि, because again हुन्छ नि एउटा प्रोफेसनल एउटा लाइफ मेन्टेन गर्दाखेरि आउँछ, इट्स इनएभिटेबल हुन्छ नि, च्यालेन्जेसहरू आउँछ, and then स्टेक होल्डर म्यानेजमेन्टमा हुन्छ नि इस्युजहरू आउँछ, द लट अफ थिङ्स, एन्ड देन यु माइट स्क्रु अप लट अफ थिङ्स ह्यापन्स. नोबडी इज पर्फेक्ट, नोबडी विल एभर बी पर्फेक्ट. तर त्यो कुराहरूलाई कसरी ओभरकम गर्ने, द्याट इज द की. एन्ड मलाई एक्ज्याक्टली भन्यो नि, टु काइन्ड अफ थिङ्क अबाउट इन रिलेसन टु यर लाइफ, त्यो एउटा प्रब्लम चाहिँ कहाँनिर फिट हुन्छ त. भोलि गएर मैले एक हप्तापछि मैले फर्केर हेर्दाखेरि will I be the same? हुन्छ नि म यही फ्रेम अफ माइन्डमा हुन्छु कि I'm like, oh my god, what was I even thinking when I asked हुन्छ होइन. So I think that has helped me quite a lot.
Okay, so this too shall pass. I think your statement say it's not challenging times मात्रै होइन कि, like when you achieve success, success को stories-हरु पनि सधैँ त हुँदैन नि त. So I think यो दुवै साइडमा चाहिँ work गर्छ, and it will make you humble, it will make you rooted हुन्छ नि. So it's very good piece of advice.
I mean, you should not absolutely let success get into your head. That's हुन्छ नि,
त्यो फेरि अर्कै part of
very correctly mentioned, because एउटा करियरको पिकमा पुग्दाखेरि यु विल नेभर लाइक रिमेन इन द पिक हुन्छ नि. त्यो हुन्छ नि, त्यो इनएभिटेबल नै हुन्छ. त्यो अब मे नट गो एकदमै डिप डाउन डन्जनमा, तर हुन्छ नि एउटा पिकमा अचिभ गरेपछि अभियसली यु हेभ यर हाइज एन्ड लोज. अगेन भेरी करेक्टली मेन्सन, दुईटैमा सक्सेस फेलियर्स एभ्रिथिङ इज भेरी टेम्पररी. सो कसरी आफ्नो लाइफलाई अगाडि बढाउने, द्याट्स भेरी भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट.
करेक्ट. सो हजुरले एउटै ब्याङ्कमा यु हेभ given your 15 years, so starting phase ra aile, since you are a head of corporate affairs and branding ra marketing ko team la lead garde hununcha, so hajuko perspective ma herdakeri, from your perception, what led you to become in that position? So hajuko kun chai strength le gardakeri chai hajulai त्यो position सम्म पुगायो भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ? Pranu, from your eyes.
Yes, again, but I mentioned earlier also this. Maybe a few things. Number one, again, मैले चाहिँ कहिले पनि म 10 वर्षमा म यो ब्याङ्कको म एक्जिक्युटिभ म्यानेजमेन्ट पोजिसनमा बस्छु भने मलाई आई ह्याड नो सच गोल्स. बट मेरो जति पनि त्यो स्पेसिफिक बेलामा त्यो जुन रोल्स एन्ड रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी थियो, आई मेड स्योर द्याट आई हुन्छ नि डिड द बेस्ट अन वाट आई कुड त्यो बेलामा. एन्ड द्याट इभेन्चुली हेल्प मी टु हुन्छ नि गेट हाइलाइटेड द म्यानेजमेन्टको उसमा होइन. एन्ड देन आई वाज अफर्ड दिस रोल. सो एभ्रिथिङ काइन्ड अफ हुन्छ नि वर्क त्यो डिरेक्सनमा. Though I didn't have any plans to kind of head a department. In fact, more executive management, top management team. This now that I was the only female. There were like 13 other gentlemen.
Okay.
So, and I was the youngest, of course. So it was quite an accomplishment.
On top of that, youngest too.
Yes. Okay. So for me, it was quite an accomplishment. Absolutely. But then it wasn't something that I had like really planned or but it's just that whatever came up my way, I kind of strive and then things fell into place. Another thing, again, I was never scared of hard work. And so the extra hours, I never did that. So even if my role did not demand that extra task during that, I put my hand up. And that leads to my third probably quality, that I really I raise my hand up, which I think is very difficult because suppose volunteer and then you start thinking more time, family, commitments, until probably the chances when you have something lucrative in front of you and just raise your hand, you express your intention to kind of go ahead, and then you come back and figure out how do you settle everything around it, right? So that's probably what I've done. So any roles I took, so more strategy, but then I moved to so that was again my deliberate attempt here to move into corporate banking. So that was something I requested because more strategic. I went into like your governance strategy, business planning, but I wasn't talking to customers, external stakeholders. The interaction. So I felt I needed that being a banker, because that's what banking is all about, right? Talking to customers, getting up there and get your feet dirty and all that. So मैले नै request गरेर हैन, and then of course there was a round of interviews and all of that. The boy मैले apply गरेर role, and I got that role in corporate banking. So I was handling one of the biggest portfolios in the bank. Development organization भन्ने, त्यसपछि insurance and investors हेरेँ मैले, microfinance हेर्थेँ मैले ब्याङ्कको लागि. So that was all like हुन्छ नि, that was something मलाई आउँदैन थियो. So I put my hand up. And then I came back, and then I figured out how to do it, right? And त्यो again, त्यो सबै foundation बनाउने, again त्यो support system बनाउने. Then I was like, okay, fine. So let me just go out there and say I'm interested. त्यो पछिको बादमा देखा जाएगा भनेर, that is what I did. Okay? So अनि यो पनि यो जुन मैले अहिलेको current role छ, corporate affairs, branding and marketing को head. So all of a sudden I was like, हुन्छ नि, so the management thought I could do it. सोचेर नै भन्नुभयो होला, and then I was offered this role, and I was like, so in my mind I was like, oh my god, how will I do this, right? अघि भने नि, so I don't have a degree, I don't know what branding is all about. Generally एउटा concept हुन्छ त, but when you're actually doing it day in and day out now, there's a difference. But I was like, so when I was asked, so are you up for the role? I was like, yeah. I didn't even give it a second thought, because I knew mo go ahead and then I'll figure out how to do it, right? So yeah, now I've been doing it for like 4 years now, and I guess I'm doing relatively okay.
Yeah, you're doing great. We can see it all over it. Hazuko magazines, I'm seeing you all over there, magazine front covers, interview session, so you're doing phenomenal in what you are doing. So yeah, that's very quite interesting. So you just raise your hand for doing something, and this pichi we'll figure it out.
Because social thali bhane, then there's
then
no end to it.
The opportunity is missed. This it's never going to come back again.
बाहिरको अब भनौँ न, suppose कि बाहिर जाने assignment and then you start thinking about your कसरी manage गर्ने, family obligations and all that. सबै कुरा manage हुन्छ कि, manage गर्न सक्यो भने. But yeah, raise your hand up and then you figure out.
Okay, so you also mentioned that you were executive team, you were the only female, and on top of that, you were the youngest one. So, a corporate life, talking about multinational banking system, so was it difficult being a woman? I hate to say this, like being a woman, but let's face the reality. I mean, patriarchal society made still. So, Hazuko experience being a woman in a bunch of men, a room with bunch of men, was it difficult to take decisions and your opinion put forward? Was it difficult, or was it supportive? Culture cost.
So when I was in my initial days, when I was given this particular role, so even before, like I'm certain after 2 weeks, and then there were people around me who were telling me, very challenging. There's sharks living in that boardroom. They're going to rip you apart. You have to be very careful and this and that. So I was like, no reaction. I was like, just soaking it in. But then, yes, it was stressing me out, to be very, very frank.
Subconscious mind, bossy also.
And these were the people that Mopaila officer, business planning manager role got. But I was in a very, very different role. I was sitting there I used to sit there taking notes. So त्यहाँ गएपछि एकैचोटि म त्यहाँ बोर्ड जुन चाहिँ टेबलमा डिसिजन मेकिङ एउटा रोलमा पुगेपछि कस्तो हुन्छ होला, हुन्छ नि, हाउ विल दे रियाक्ट टु इट, विल दे इभन पे एनी हिट टु मी, हुन्छ नि, एन्ड देन हुन्छ नि अलिकति यङ भएपछि भ्याल्यु गर्दैन, मलाई सिरियसली लिन्छ लिँदैन भने. There was a lot of turmoil in my head, to be very, very frank. Now, I haven't like really spoken about it, but yeah, since so त्यो बेलामा थियो मलाई हैन. तर इभेन्चुली कस्तो हुँदै गयो भने अब सुरुमा त अगेन हुन्छ नि, it was very, very disturbing for me also, हैन. म कसरी गर्छु होला, के गर्ने भने all those हुन्छ नि थट्सहरुले अलिकति मलाई पुल ब्याक चाहिँ गरिरहेको थियो हैन. तर eventually as time passed, मैले चाहिँ के रियलाइज गरे भने your work needs to speak for yourself, no matter if you're a male or a female, हैन. So if you are doing good work, you don't need to like go up there and like shout in the top of your voice कि हुन्छ नि मैले यस्तो गरेँ, हुन्छ नि, accept me in your team भनेर. Because त्यो काम राम्रो भएपछि त्यसको भ्याल्यु आफै नै क्रिएट भएर जान्छ.
You have to prove yourself with your work, obviously.
And it's not because you're a female or a male, anybody for that matter. And then of course, because I am in an organization which has a very, very concerted focus on diversity, on inclusions, and gender balance and all of that. That of course helped because a conscious effort of manchere lagaउँछ to kind of again elevate the female population. To elevate the female population of your workforce. Everybody benefits in that. होइन सो त्यो मैले पछि के रियलाइज गरेँ भने all those त्यो इश्युजहरू स्ट्रेसहरू चाहिँ probably was just in my mind and I only needed some time to kind of prove myself. And then once your work speaks for itself, then it's easy, right? This was the you have your feet firm under the table, and then your opinion is valued, your opinion is sought after. So I think it was just the initial afnai self-consciousness, afnai internal biases, and people around me who were telling me a lot of things. त्यो कुराहरुले चाहिँ मलाई अलिकति पुल ब्याक चाहिँ गरेको थियो इनिशियली. तर I think it's just in your mind.
Yeah, obviously at the end of the day एउटा confidence हुनुपर्छ हैन आफ्नो वर्कमा एउटा level of confidence भइसकेपछि no matter what life throws at you, you eventually get over it and excel at it, right? So looking back, अब एउटा सानो question सोधिहालेँ. So looking back, would you think that हजुरको जुन transition छ जुन रोलमा it would be easier if you were of opposite direction? Would it be that situation? Opposite gender भएको भए चाहिँ त्यो जुन transition phase हुन्छ त्यो अलिकति easy हुन्थ्यो जस्तो लाग्छ?
Looking back, I haven't really given it a serious thought because मलाई त्यस्तो एकदम म केटा मान्छे भएको भए म यस्तो गर्थेँ भन्ने त्यो चाहिँ मलाई खास अहिलेसम्म त्यस्तो फिल चाहिँ भएको छैन. So I would say no. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I think being a female has its own advantages. True. People, when you're a female and you talk, in a certain way, and then you talk things of value and of intelligence, people notice you even more than a male counterpart. So I think it has worked in my favor.
Yeah, I love you for saying that. Girl power. Okay, so since you have been in the banking industry for so long, so what do you think are the top 5 qualities to be a good banker?
Many qualities, but if I have to just tell you top 5. Okay, number 1 would be attention for detail. That's very, very important. No matter whichever department you're looking after, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for public money. You're responsible for creation of shareholder value. So the attention for detail, something that एउटा report हेर्ने बित्तिकै okay यसमा यो छ है भन्ने खालको त्यो खालको एउटा acumen चाहिँ चाहिन्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ. Second, personable. You have to be, because it's all about relationship management,
building
right?
Relationship.
Whether it be internal or with your external stakeholders. So you have to be alikati giving, personable attitude alikati bolna sakne हुनु पर्यो. Third, I think would be problem solving, because problems are
out there
everywhere.
Yeah.
Probably this is not just for banking, but you're a general professional career. Problem solving हुनु पर्यो, and okay, I'm keeping the best one for the last, I'll tell you. Before that, I think positive attitude.
Oh my god, did you just read my mind? I was thinking about that. Positive mind पनि हुनुपर्छ.
Positive mindset हुनुपर्छ.
Oh my god.
For yourself and for your stakeholders that you're dealing with. Because एउटा win-win situation मा कसरी हामी लिएर जाने सबैलाई हुन्छ नि त्यो कुरालाई कसरी achieve गर्ने. And the be all end all, I think overarching everything is communication.
True.
That's absolutely non-negotiable. That's absolutely vital to any profession that you're in. So communication भन्दैमा, it's not like you have to go do interviews or go speak on stage or whatever. तर interpersonal communications are how you express yourself, how you deal with your team, how you deal with your boss, how you deal with your subordinates. That's I think that's very, very crucial. So yeah. Those are 5 things.
Thank you so much for that. That's very important piece of advice. So communication के भनौँ न हैन, हामीसँग amazing ideas हरु छ, but then if we are not able to communicate, if we are not able to say it properly, then त्यो idea मात्रै भएर त भएन नि त. So yeah, of course, यो पाँचवटा element, I guess it's very important to elevate in every corner, every sector, every occupation that we come forward, होइन? So अब अहिले transition अब corporate life मा पनि भनौँ न, it's made a huge transition. अहिले different कुराहरू भइरहेछ, every day there's evolution technology मा पनि. So अहिले चाहिँ what do you think about personal branding, how important it is? Because अहिले हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि जति पनि graduatesहरू हुनुहुन्छ, they are out there with full 414 GPA अनि extracurricular activities पनि हजुरले भने जस्तै everybody is going out there. So एउटा certain thing that makes them different is a personal branding, होइन? So what do you think about it? कतिको important छ अहिलेको generationमा, अहिलेको career prospectमा?
म त अब ब्रान्डिङकै मान्छे भएर I can't हुन्छ नि over emphasize the importance, because personal branding it's, I think personally it's very very important, especially अहिले when you have so much of access to social media, for example. र अहिलेको जुन again now I'm sure you must have heard this, because social media is such a powerful tool. How you use it, it's absolutely up to your disposal, right? तर त्यो कुरालाई एउटा पर्सनल ब्रान्डिङमा लाई अगमेन्ट गर्नको लागि चाहिने हैन. I think it's very important. Why? Because it is the connection that you made with your external audience. It makes the audience feel and believe in the human aspect of you, because I mean the screen ma everybody is like you don't know who's on the other side of the screen, right? But the way you curate your content on your social media handles, or how you present yourself externally, that plays a very very vital role to develop perception of people for you. Again, there are people who don't want to be like ekdamai public out there image, which is fine. That's their ekdamai personal preference. But generally, if you're looking out to build your professional network, you're looking for jobs even, because I know of many people who were actually offered jobs from LinkedIn. I know profile matra हेरेर the first call around LinkedIn बाट एकदमै धेरै हुन्छ, नेपालमा पनि हुन्छ त्यो, एकदमै धेरै छ. So at the same time, even Facebook, Instagram for that matter, though these are like very personal sort of social media handles, but again, how you present yourself in these handles also matters a lot. Kinabane, well, a secret, which is not a secret, employers actually look into your Insta and Facebook also. Okay.
So that would be something new for most of us.
Because it's, unless it's a very like private tool, that's something else. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you ask me how important it is, absolutely. It's totally very important. Your personal brand create garnalai, because the organizations which you work for, of course, you will be associated with that organization for a while, right? But eventually it's your own personality. It's you as an individual who needs to sort of, organization is just part of your life. It's not your entire life, the way you work. So त्यो आफ्नो beyond the organization, आफ्नो life-लाई कसरी मान्छेहरुको सामु present गर्ने, that's very much in your hand. And to use all the social media channels and all of that, the channels are like use गर्ने पनि very much हाम्रो आफ्नै हातमा हुन्छ हैन. So let's all make a good use of it, because it's a very very powerful tool.
Yeah, true, 100%. So how are you using it? Sorry, to make your personal branding, how are you using it?
So frankly speaking, shuruma a few years agadi I was not very active on, for example, LinkedIn. 4-5 वर्ष अगाडि, because हुन्छ नि, तर eventually अहिले चाहिँ नि I do make it a point to kind of हुन्छ नि post not very regularly, but yeah, if there are some things happening, I will post about this interview, of course.
Yeah, I want you to do that.
So if there are certain events happening, something that I could share with people. For example, last week, my latest post was last week when I was in Bordia for a sustainability project. That was something I really wanted to share with my network. So त्यहाँको life, त्यहाँको मान्छेहरु like हुन्छ नि के छ hardships and how we're sort of creating an intervention to elevate their life. Oh my god, I should be given like a word. अनि so त्यो कुराहरु मैले पोस्ट गरे हैन. अगाin यो जुन मेरो इन्टरभ्युजहरु अथवा के आइरा छन् त्यो गर्छु. अर्गनाइजेसनको अफ कोर्स गर्नु पर्छ हैन, because that's where your job is. So त्यो कुराहरु मैले I use LinkedIn very very like, but in a very professional way हैन. Instagram मा yes, personal stories हरु मेरो आको हुन्छ हैन. बट अगेन त्यो पनि अगेन मैले के चाहिँ भन्न मिल्ने के भन्न नमिल्ने त्यो चाहिँ आई गिभ इट अ थट आई गिभ इट अ सिरियस थट
एउटा पर्सनल स्पेस
होइन एउटा पर्सनल स्पेस बिकज आई रियली रेस्पेक्ट माई पर्सनल स्पेस इट इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट फर मी सो के भने कि नभने द्याट आई गिभ इट अ रियली सिरियस थट त्यो एउटा फ्लो अफ द मोमेन्टमा पार्टी गरिरहेछ रमाइलो भइरहेछ यु रियली वान्ट टु पोस्ट एभ्रिथिङ इन वाट एभर इज ह्यापनिङ take a pause. Boli gएर once that party is over, do you really want this to be on your profile? If you're fine with it, that's absolutely fine. तर त्यो heat of the moment मा जे पनि पोस्ट गर्ने when you're like especially मैले यो पोस्टहरु देख्छु के when you're really disturbed हुन्छ नि कसले मलाई यस्तो गर्यो उस्तो गर्यो why हुन्छ नि I mean it's not like you're getting a solution from that and most people will be happy seeing you in the pain you in trouble you're like हुन्छ नि so I think those kind of things are in heat of the moment ma hunne kura cha alikati control chai garnu parcha but other than that now I'm not like again an expert and mo sabdai yesto thi भन्ने
होइन no
there might be some म पनि अब बच्चा बेलामा जब मैले स्टार्ट गरे फेसबुकमा थियो होला त्यस्तो कुराहरु but over the years evolving developing understanding हुन्छ नि how to use social media effectively त्यो कुराहरुले चाहिँ नि अलिकति हुन्छ नि त्यो मेरो पोस्टहरु चाहिँ अलिक kind of person
calculated. Okay, so that's a very amazing piece of advice. So you have talked about corporation that you worked in, and so now let's talk about Standard Chartered Bank. So त्यहाँको culture कस्तो छ? So I have been to the place, business उसको meetings हरुको लागि I have been to that place. अनि त्यहाँको मलाई culture चाहिँ के मन परेको भन्दाखेरि त्यहाँ coffee machines हुन्थ्यो and then you all would say help yourself भनेर but then अरु companiesहरुमा there's a hierarchy system भनौं न त्यो एउटा राम्रो culture देखे and त्यसपछि there were open cubicles cabins पनि it was not shut down हैन so everybody knows what they are doing भनेर so त्यो culture चाहिँ त्यो दुईटा culture चाहिँ I really liked it. But coming from your side, so you have spent 15 years over there. So what kept you stick to that place? Because obviously, हामी मान्छे मात्रै राम्रो भएर हुँदैन हैन in a place. कति ठाउँमा the working place might be toxic too. So हामीले चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने आफुलाई blame गरिरहेको हुन्छ के so मैले गर्न सकेन outcome राम्रो आएन it's because of me भन्ने खालको हुन्छ but then it might be because of the corporation too. So त्यो senseमा चाहिँ how is Standard Chartered Bank?
I mean I really appreciate you for having that eye for detail when you were there because those are the few things that I think makes us stand out as an organization because the hairy open wall system so there are no like cubicles and all that the hairy okay fine it looks like a fancy office banasa so this could affect an interpersonal relationships now when you're sitting together with your team vis-a-vis when you're sitting in this cubicle and all that and एकदमै डिफरेन्स फरक पर्छ के बिकज मेरो पनि जब म यो रोलमा आएँ द अफिसेस वर लाइक भेरी ट्रेडिसनल त्यो पार्टिसन्सहरू आई ह्याड अ क्युबिकल होइन अनि मेरो सबअर्डिनेट्सहरू बाहिर बस्नुहुन्थ्यो होइन एन्ड देन वी चेन्ज ड्युरिङ कोभिडको लकडाउनको बेलामा एन्ड वाज इन्टायर रिफर्बिसमेन्ट त्यो बेला भएको थियो द्याट वाज द भिजन अफ आवर सिइओ अहिले जो हुनुहुन्छ होइन obviously initially there was a lot of the change हुँदाखेरि अलिकति oh my god के हुन लाग्यो हुन्छ नि I'll give up my cubicle भन्ने जस्तो मान्छेहरुको त्यो हुन्छ नि थियो होला हैन तर now once everything is settled हुन्छ नि it's really research wise पनि internal research wise पनि productivity has actually gone up interpersonal relationships have kind of improved because you see the अब तुरुन्तै अब भनौं न के मलाई के सोध्नु छ भने now rather than picking up phone or walking up to the person you're just there right you can just हुन्छ नि quick decision making हरु त्यस्तोहरु हुन सक्छ हैन so yes so we have this no cubicles concept except एउटा कुनै भनौं न confidential workको लागि we have these private walls भन्ने हुन्छ हैन which is like जले पनि त्यो private कुराहरु obviously it's a bank so not everybody needs to know everything so त्यस्तोको लागि we have a छुट्टै logistics or infrastructure छ हैन and even the CEO's office can be used as a meeting room so it's not a CEO's office dedicated CEO's office so if he's not around and so we can use it as a meeting room so there's a lot of emphasis on lobbies and common areas and meeting rooms and I don't know if you've seen our cafeteria it's amazing
okay
it's like open mat terrace mat छ हैन so yes हेर्दाखेरि सानो कुराहरु होला तर काममा चाहिँ नि एकदमै एउटा पोजिटिभ इफेक्ट चाहिँ आउने रहेछ के त्यसले चाहिँ स्पिकिङ फ्रम अगेन तपाईले भने जस्तो हुन्छ नि ओभर द लास्ट फ्यु इयर्स दैट आई बीन इन द अर्गनाइजेसन सो पहिला हामी कसरी काम गर्थ्यौ अहिले हामी कसरी काम गर्छौं वास्ट डिफरेन्स त्यो ओपन डोर पोलिसी भन्ने एउटा स्टेटमेन्ट हामीले पढिरहेको छौँ होइन तर आई थिङ्क स्ट्यान्डर्ड चार्टरमा चाहिँ त्यो एकदमै इन्हेरेन्ट छ कि त्यो चाहिँ ट्रु सेन्समा लागु हुन्छ कि होइन धेरै कम्पनीजहरूमा मैले देखाएको छु होइन ओपन डोर पोलिसी भन्ने हुन्छ तर you can't really walk up to the CEO and like have a face-to-face conversation about things. But yeah, it's not like that. So the hierarchy भन्ने हुन्छ नि oh my god I have to go through him to him to the भन्ने त्यो कुराहरु चाहिँ नि it's not there. Of course त्यो एउटा chain of reporting हरु त्यो त definitely हुन्छ हैन तर हुन्छ नि in true sense there is an open door policy. Even senior management कोमा केही कुराहरु लिएर गयो भने somebody can just ping me and then so like I wanted to help in that. It's fine. I wouldn't be like offended. Oh my god, so it's nothing of that sort. So त्यो culturally गर्दाखेरि अनि अर्को कुराहरु चाहिँ I'll just say for example again now support for females specifically. For example, we have a daycare center for children.
Okay, interesting.
In our head office. COVID भन्दा अगाडि त it was full-fledged नै थियो. COVID मा break भयो because of obviously health reasons. अहिले हामी फेरि सुरु गरिरहेका छौं. So we have a creche. So people who have young kids at home, they can actually bring their kids and it's a full-fledged daycare center. And they can actually work with without the stress कि घरमा बच्चालाई के भइरा होला सानो बच्चाहरुलाई भनेर. So त्यो खालीको जुन कल्चर छ नि I think that is what makes you stick to an organization जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई हैन र एउटा अब भनौं न अब since you asked what made me stick हैन culture everything and एउटा एकदमै important point in life एउटा female को उसमा के हुन्छ भने when she becomes a mother हैन एउटा maternal wall भन्ने जुन concept छ नि because त्यो एउटा बच्चा पाइसकेपछि and then you have तिम्रो जुन confidence हरु जुन हुन्छ नि it kind of goes down कि अब म काम गर्न सक्दिन कि when the way I used to work or oh my god मेरो peers हरुले मलाई के भन्छ मेरो managerले मलाई के भन्छ हैन I've taken such a long break will I be able to perform the productivity issues हरु एकदमै एउटा guilt हुन्छ नि एउटा आउँदो रहेछ के भित्रबाट at least मलाई चाहिँ आयो हैन अनि त्यो भइसकेपछि again एउटा अर्गनाइजेसनले त्यो बेलामा जुन मलाई सपोर्ट गर्यो जुन मेरो म्यानेजरले त्यो बेलामा सपोर्ट गर्नुभयो it was absolutely something that I'm indebted to and probably that's why you want to stick around to kind of the organization that you're in this sort of support system and it's okay you have to go for vaccination or got chutti chahiन्छ the initial days ma हैन just absolutely fine हैन एउटा work from home भन्ने concept छ हाम्रो so if my child is at home I can do work from home because I have to take care of him also and then as long as I'm getting my work done it's fine मेरो एकजना colleague ko so usko mother she was unwell in out of town Kathmandu ma so he asked me if I could work from out of town. I was like, fine. Internet connectivity so you can work from there. So you work from there for like 2 months.
Things have to be done.
Things have to be done. Yeah. And that's an absolute okay concept, isn't it? So because it's still also you are not a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
There are personal things that affect you so much. Elderly karma I'm a bualai they may need your care. So all of that like say factor in गरेको छ के standard charterले so I think that is where the people they stick for a long time and of course because we have 5-day work week
okay that's something that I'm really envious about so हामीले कुरा गर्दा गर्दै I get so sad कि हामी 1 घण्टा कुरा गरिसक्यौं
yeah
so much to discover still हैन the एउटा final question चाहिँ since you are in a very demanding career in a banking भनेको there's a lot of commitments there's a lot of stress so my final question to you is हजुरको family को support system कस्तो थियो and how has it helped you to elevate in your career
I love the wordplay all right family ko support system utmost absolute important be it your maternal like mom ko side bada bhayo bhane pani or your once you're married your in-laws your husband I have been very lucky because of course my mom ko she's like she's been there whatever I am because of her because also after I got married so my husband he's been like my biggest supporter he's like this cheerleader and कतिचोटी मैले नि आफूलाई सेल्फ डाउट गरेर आउँछु whether I'll be able to do it or not and he's the one who kind of do it pushes me हुन्छ नि so couple goals and of course
that's very important
that's very important because अब मैले आनन्दलाई मेरो बच्चा छ 8 वर्षको हैन so if I didn't have that support system in my husband I may not be able to do things that I'm doing right now 100%. Not at all हैन so yeah I kind of give it all to him because he's been such an amazing father, such an amazing husband. And of course, my parents-in-laws as well. They've been like former bankers, so they know the nuances. They understand when I'm late from work. So that way I've been quite fortunate, and my extended family around, everybody is so supportive, especially in my in-law side also, which you don't usually get it. So they are like, interview team, they'll be like, oh, so excited. So it makes you like really stress, it kind of affects your professional life very much. But touch it, I've been like very fortunate to kind of have the right people, the right support system from everywhere.
So that's interesting to know. So obviously I would like to invite you again because कति धेरै कुराहरु सोध्नै बाँकी थियो हैन, because of the time strain हामीले चाहिँ सबै कुरा सोध्न पाएन. But we have an interesting segment for you. हाम्रो लास्टमा चाहिँ we play the rapid fire session भनेर. So we would like to know you even better. हुन्छ? So I'll ask you some questions and त्यो question को answers हरु चाहिँ it should be fast and it should be full of fire.
All right.
Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay. So my first question, what's your go-to comfort food?
I'm not a foodie at all. I like sushi.
Sushi?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you a morning person or a night owl?
Absolutely night owl.
Okay, that's quite new thing to know about you.
Night owl. That's been there since my bachchadekhi नै.
Okay. Okay. So मलाई यो सँग related कति questions सोध्न मन लाग्यो, but again, I have to go on. So what's the one thing you wouldn't leave without? Cannot live without.
Cannot live without. My family.
Your family? Okay. So what's the craziest thing you have ever done?
At that point in time, maybe bungee.
That's one craziest thing that you have done.
But looking back, I'd like to do it again. Yeah.
Really? Okay, interesting. So what's the most weirdest food combination you have ever tried?
Seafood. I'm not into seafood at all. So I had some weird stuff which was like, kind of moving. So yeah.
Okay. So if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
I think I'm a superhero already because I'm a mother.
Yeah.
And I think all mothers are superheroes.
Definitely. Okay, so what's your weakness?
Okay, no, this is not rapid fire. So, I don't know. Weakness. Okay, I tend to get a bit emotional when it comes to relationships.
Okay. Yeah. So what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I love Lag Jagale.
Oh, nice. Very versatile. Okay, it's evergreen. Evergreen song. What's your favorite type of workout?
Workout, I love yoga.
Okay.
It's, yeah.
Okay. What's the most romantic thing you have ever done for your partner?
I do a lot of things for him.
If you could mention few.
I don't know. So I don't remember at the moment, but yeah, planning holidays, sending flowers, all those cliche things, sending cakes without any reasons and all that. Yeah, we do all that.
Okay, so what's the most important quality one should look for in a partner?
Somebody who's able to add value to your life. May not be not monetary, but somebody who is the same intellectual level as you are, or even better.
Okay. So would you rather, if given a chance, would you rather go to your past or your future?
Future.
Okay, so with that, we are at the end of our today's session. So a lot of people are watching you right now. So any piece of final advice that you'd like to give them to elevate in the place that they are in? So from your expertise, from your experience, the camera is there. You can just speak your heart out.
Don't follow any advices.
Make your own one.
Make your own, because you are in charge of your life. And you are somebody who knows what's the best for you. So make those choices. Be conscious of what you are getting into. And I mean, it's your life, and you are, the captain of the ship, captain of your own ship. Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much. Even I would like to give you all the very best for whatever life offers you abako next part ma, in terms of everything, your family, your career, yourself, and after self discovery. So I wish you all the best. And yeah, thank you so much for coming here, giving your time and your suggestions from your expertise and experiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pranisha. It was absolute a pleasure. I think it was one of the best interviews that I've given in terms of the person who's on the other side. I think you're going to go places.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so that was a wrap for today's episode. I am sure that you enjoyed the conversation thoroughly as much as we did. So हामीले थुप्रै tips and tricks हरु पनि हेर्यौं सुन्यौं हैन उहाँहरुको एक्सपीरियन्स बाट प्रणुजीको एक्सपीरियन्स बाट हामीले थुप्रै tips and tricks हरु पनि पक्कै पनि पायौं. So yeah, if you want to know more about her, make sure that you follow her on her social media handlings. हामीले उहाँको सबै social media details हरु description box मा राखिदिन्छौं. And yes, Elevate is a show where I want to narrow the gap between learnings. So त्यसमा चाहिँ मलाई तपाईको साथ र सहयोगको पनि जरुरत रहने छ. So त्यसले गर्दाखेरि make sure if you haven't already, make sure that you like and share and subscribe our channel so that I can reach out to more people, I can connect to more people अनि हामी सँगै grow होस्, सँगै elevate गरौँ. So त्यही नै हो मेरो लक्ष्य भनौँ न आजको एपिसोड बाट चाहिँ. So yeah, make sure that you subscribe our channel. And before wrapping up the show, a huge shout out to my clothing partner today, Kate. यो चाहिँ एउटा नेपाली brand हो and it's a perfect combination of class and comfort. So a huge shout out, and it's a pleasure to be representing their brand in today's episode. Make sure that you follow their social media handlings as well. त्यो पनि हामीले description box मा राख्छौं. It's an amazing quality product, so make sure that you follow that. Okay, so yeah, that's a wrap. हाम्रो अर्को week पनि हाम्रो भेटघाट हुने नै छ. Till then, be inspired, stay curious, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.